Most people don't fail at raising cattle because of the cows. They fail because of the equipment they purchase before they buy any cattle. We can spend a lot of money on equipment and never make a dime on cattle. In this video, let's take a look at what it actually takes to raise some cows and what it doesn't. When people start thinking about raising cattle, they start thinking about equipment, like a tractor, or hay equipment like this mower, or they think they need a new baler. They also think they need things like a ton of attachments, trailers, you name it. And they start buying stuff before they ever even actually think about how these cattle make money. What happens is they build the operation backwards. They've got the equipment payments before they ever get any income. If you're going to run cattle, you've got a few things that you must have. Fence being one of those. It doesn't have to be perfect fence, but it has to be fence that works. The next thing you must have is water. You have to have reliable water. You've got to have some way to handle the cattle. So you need some pens. And they don't have to be fancy. They don't have to have hydraulic chutes and all the bells and whistles. They just have to work. So now we move from must-haves to nice-to-have. Well, a tractor. That's something that's nice to have. Is it totally necessary? Not all the time. The next thing you might need is a trailer. Do you have to have a stock trailer? No. There are plenty of people out there that haul cattle for a living or haul cattle on the side. You can have one of them haul your cattle. The next thing would be some type of feeding equipment. Now, do you have to have a big feed truck or a big tractor with a mixer wagon and all that? No, you don't. You can simply have some 5-gallon buckets and put out feed with those. But here's the problem. People treat equipment like it's a requirement when it's really a decision. There's a lot of different ways to run cattle, and not all of them require equipment. Now we'll move over into the get you in trouble column. This is where people get hurt. They go out, they buy a brand new tractor, full hay setups, and they buy everything up front. You can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on hay equipment before you ever sell a calf. And now your cows aren't feeding you, you're feeding equipment. The average cattle herd size in the United States right now is 47 head. You don't have to have a feed truck with a cube feeder on it and a bale spear on it and all of those things to feed 47 head of cattle. Is it nice? Yeah. Is it absolutely necessary? No. So from what I see, there's a few different reasons people get into cattle. One of those is like me. Generational, right? Been in it since the beginning. Some other ways people get into cattle are they just to get intrigued with them. They think it looks like it's a really great lifestyle and they think they want to, try to run some cows. And then there's this group of people that are getting into it more for the equipment, more for some kind of perceived status that it brings, right? And those people aren't really concerned about this being a business. They're concerned about it looking like a business, right? And a lot of those places are fed by outside businesses. So say you have somebody that has a construction company. They need somewhere to park some of that money, so they go into the cattle business. It's a good way to invest some money and park some money somewhere. Now, what other people see is they see this person with some cows, and all of a sudden there's brand new equipment, there's a brand new feed truck, there's all the things, all the trappings that go along with that. And they think, wow, how is this person doing that, right? I need all of this. Why? I've got to attain this. I've got to have that. And it becomes an unrealistic expectation. So what happens is people will start to go into debt when they don't need to, because they feel like they have to have these things to be successful. If you are dependent on off-farm income to support your business, it's not a business, it's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's hundreds of thousands or millions of hobby farmers out there. We'll love it. I think it's great. But if you want to run your operation as a business and you're getting into this as the business, then you've got to kind of change that mindset from I need these things to how can I run this business with the least amount of inputs. And truthfully, a cattle operation can be run with very little input. You need grass, you need water, and you need some fence. And you need a place to work your cattle. Right? That's the basics. Everything else comes after that. Right? You don't even need a truck that can pull a trailer or a trailer to get into this business because you can hire all that out. Do those things make it easier and more convenient? Absolutely. Are they totally necessary? No, they're not. If you're running 40 to, I would say even, I don't know, 70 or 80, maybe 100 head of cattle, it's not a requirement for you to have all of that. Okay, well, I'm waiting for these cattle to get up here. Let's just talk a minute. So with an average herd size of 47 in the United States, most people don't need a lot of equipment. What I see is people way over equipping and having to pay year over year over year to pay this equipment off. You know, I can remember being a kid and my mother's father, so my grandpa on my mom's side, not where I'm at here, he was running a few hundred head of cattle out of a Subaru Brat and using 5-gallon buckets. He would fill the whole bed full of 5-gallon buckets and go out and make his feed rounds. He was leasing land all over. His cattle weren't on one place, and he was making do without a feed truck. You know, this feed truck I'm sitting in right here is the one he ended up with at the end. When he passed away, I inherited this old truck, and that's this is the first feed truck we've had on this farm. And on our ranch here in Northeast Oklahoma, which is larger than the national average, we do run equipment, but not what most people think. Some of the most important things we do don't involve equipment at all. It involves grass management, it involves timing, and it involves making the right decisions. You don't build a cattle operation with equipment. You build it with grass, cows, and decisions. And equipment can help, but it can also bury you, especially if you buy it, before you know it's going to pay for itself. If your equipment is costing more than your cows are making, that's not a cattle problem. That is a decision problem. If you're trying to figure out how to make cattle work on your place, that's what we talk about on this channel. So if you like this kind of content, subscribe to our channel, share it with a friend. It keeps me energized to keep making these videos. Thank you guys for watching.